You're listening to the Power Platform People podcast on the CRM Audio Network with the bearded CRM guy Iain Connolly and the Mark Christie. The guys will take you on a journey of the Power Platform community. Here we go.
Hello, Mr. Christie. How are you today?
I am not too bad. I am going to try not and swear today, which I think is going to be really difficult.
I'm okay at not swearing when we're recording. It's when we turn off the mics that I just go expletive central. But anyway, it's another story.
Well, I think it's partly because of the guest that we've got on. Not that I'm saying that she's a nightmare for swearing, but I think we just end up talking nonsense and end up swearing. But we'll see how it goes.
I think it's just kind of part of our culture over here.
It is, isn't it? Like, that's the whole thing. For the people that don't recognise the voice there, maybe don't know her, she is Emma D'Arcy, who is working for ClickDimensions at the moment, I believe.
Yep, currently in ClickDimensions and about to move into a pre-sales role, actually. Really excited about it.
Ah, okay. So what were you doing before you moved to pre-sales then?
So I've been with ClickDimensions for about 2.5 years now. I started out as what was called a marketing success manager, kind of a support role, but more so on the product side. Then I moved into a senior product consulting role, just doing primarily consulting with marketing customers and how to use the tool. From there, I went into technical account management, which was just, very hands-on involvement with implementation, advanced consulting, and things like that. And the wonderful Matt Winneman, who I am super excited to be working with now, has asked me to join the pre-sales team. So I'm now currently on the pre-sales team.
So you got like every badge for every area of ClickD by the sounds of it. That's
Yeah.
pretty cool.
Yeah, I've been everywhere.
It's like, what have I got? I've got my ClickD Fundamentals badge. I think that's about as far as I got.
You also have a sweet Yeti mug as well.
Oh, well, honestly, don't get me started on the mugs. So I must have come home with about 3 of these mugs, and I only have one of them.
How did that happen?
One of them didn't even get back from Amsterdam because it was hijacked by somebody. I can't remember who it was. The other one, Neil Parkhurst, gave that to Claire, and it never got back to me either. So I have one, and my wife's actually taken it to work, so I don't even really have one.
And the one that Claire had, I seen for one moment in Glasgow. It was the first time I've ever seen one. I don't even know if I managed to touch it, but I believe it got damaged as well, Mark, to be honest. I don't know if you know that.
No, so that's why she can't. So it's just pure shame that she's damaged it, and that's why she's telling me she can't find it.
It's got a small scratch in the blue, and then you could see the silver underneath, something like that.
That's okay. They are actually awesome cups, though.
They were very elite Yetis that we gave out to the best of the best, Mark. So you're very lucky to have one.
So the best of the best got one, and he got 3.
Exactly. I don't know what that says.
I don't know. Yeah, exactly. I don't know where he's blown that smoke.
But I've not got any socks yet, though.
I'm working on the socks, man. I swear to God, I'm working on the socks.
You knew that was going to come up at some point.
I know. I'll send the podcast to marketing and be like, we can't promote this unless we give Mark socks. So
yeah, we're not releasing this until Mark gets socks and Iain gets a mug. I don't know how I'm losing out on there, but
actually, I have a pair of socks for you to send over from the podcast.
Okay.
Now, they might be thigh highs on you, but you can have some socks with our faces on them.
I'm sure I can probably pull it off.
I don't know if you'd want to pull them on, and never mind pull them off, Emma.
Oh no! Yeah, we will get them sent over to you. That's cool. So you're just moving into pre-sales. I mean, you've heard loads of me because I always on the phone to you asking how you fix this, how you fix that. Mainly because I'm too lazy to look into stuff myself. That's really, I do take advantage of you, I know.
That's fine. I don't mind. It gives me something to do.
Now that you're in pre-sales, and that makes it even better because let's be honest, Iain, what do I really do nowadays? Come on.
Yeah, I've said it for a long enough time that Mark is pre-sales. I keep calling them smoke and mirrors. But it's not even that. It's because everything's so bleeding edge with what he's doing that it actually cuts you.
Oh, wow.
But yeah, it is definitely more of a pre-sales role that Mark's kind of sitting in as well, where it's looking at what's coming, but looking at the full ecosystem. of the whole Dynamics platform. So ClickD comes into that, as well as every other ISV partner out there, and understanding what they can do, so what they can actually offer the whole environment.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, there's probably a good chance we're going to end up working together a lot then, I'd say. Hopefully.
Yeah, that's if I get my product request in quick enough and you say yes. No, I'm joking.
I can make the magic
So,
happen.
I like that. I do know that you have just kind of gone back stateside over the past couple of weeks. Are you allowed to say what you were doing over here?
I am, yes. So yeah, I was in Cork, Ireland for about 6 weeks or so. I think ClickDimensions have already announced this, so I can definitely talk about it. We've just opened our new office in South Mall in Cork City, which is great. And we have currently got 5 support agents and 5 customer success managers there. The plan is to actually ramp up that office to about 50 employees by the end of 2020. So it's a huge investment for the company. I am super excited. We have some really, really great talent in that office as well. So our European customers are going to be getting the best of the best, which is awesome.
It's awesome as well. We have the European base have such a local area to reach out rather than all going stateside.
Yep, exactly. And
Definitely.
everything's going to be in local languages as well. So we have multiple different languages. I think we have Dutch, French, German, Spanish, probably some other languages, Croatian as well,
That's
which is
awesome.
awesome. Yeah, so it's super cool.
That is super cool, and it's no longer going to be like any sort of follow the sun. Obviously, if you've got people working in Cork, they're going to be more to that GMT hour as well. So you got
Exactly.
a couple
And
hours
they'll
here and there. That's
also
awesome.
they'll have that Irish banter about them as well. So it'll be a good
Good
time.
bit of crack.
Yeah, exactly.
Sweet.
Until an English person phones up and just sucks the life out of it all.
Edited.
Taking forever to tell you what they want. I'm like, come on, man.
Yeah, we can say that, don't worry. We can just put an expletive language on it.
We didn't even swear, we just were xenophobic.
Oh, is England not a swear word in your dictionary?
Oh,
Ah, you see.
this has gone sideways real fast.
I mean, am I the only person that mutes God Save the Queen when it comes on the radio?
Oh, it doesn't come on the radio in my country. Oh, good God, no.
Yeah, on the TV, national anthems and stuff like that, muted straight away. But anyway,
I'm
Yeah.
just pleading the fifth on this. I'm not commenting. I don't want to incriminate myself either way.
So diplomatic.
100%. Somebody in this conversation has to be, obviously.
yeah. Iain lives on the country of fence.
I'm just worried my neighbours hear what I say.
Oh, God, yeah, that's very, very true for you. So, have you started your pre-sales role, or are you just about to get into it?
I'm actually starting on Monday, so I'm doing the transitioning of all my accounts out to different people and kind of growing what the business premier package looks like right now that I was working on. So Monday is my start date for the pre-sales role.
Awesome. And is that based from home, or are you more in the office with that, or are you going to be everywhere?
Pretty much everywhere. So a huge part of why they offered me this role is so that I can be more involved in the community, kind of going to more events, doing more talks. So I've started doing a lot more talks at UGs. I'm going to be helping out with leadership of one of our local UGs up here in Charlotte, North Carolina as well. So just kind of having that visibility lends itself more so to a pre-sales role than what I was doing previously. So it just makes more sense.
Are you enjoying doing the talking? So I know you've
Yeah.
done some in Amsterdam, didn't you? And you've done a training session.
I did. I absolutely love it so much. The community of the Dynamics platform as a whole, Power Platform, whatever anyone is calling it these days, it has like a million names. I never know. It's just great. It's just everyone's so supportive, and even if you don't know a whole lot, people are still like super supportive and encouraging. So I actually did the hackathon, the Hack for Good hackathon in Atlanta 2 weekends ago, I think it was. I came second, by the way, which is awesome. And we did a hackathon for charity. And the whole idea was that we would build some sort of a solution for charities. And so my team, we built a solution for the American Red Cross that would help volunteers locate specific facilities for, say, disaster relief, let them know what the capacity was, how many people were there, and just a bunch of different things about the facilities, because often they can be like churches to school halls to anything like that. So the app just gave them that information on the fly. Which apparently is going to be something that they're super interested in us pursuing as well later on. So it was really cool.
That is quite cool. I like that. I did see, somebody was tweeting about that yesterday, I think, just with some screenshots.
Yeah, Lisa Crosby wrote an article on LinkedIn, I believe, about it. And I wrote a pretty brief blog post just about my experience at my first hackathon and why I think everyone should do one. And a huge part of that as well was kind of helping me combat imposter syndrome, which I struggle with immensely. So I decided I'd do the hackathon to try and tackle that a little bit, just, get with people who have either less knowledge than me, more knowledge than me, and just kind of compare and see if I can work with somebody in a team. And it definitely really helped me figure out, hey, nobody knows everything. Everybody has questions. And that definitely helped me cope with the imposter syndrome that I deal with every
It's
day.
a massive thing, that, isn't it, the whole imposter syndrome, because you fear what you don't know and you feel that somebody will question you on it. But as you say, when you're in that community, when you're in that group of people and you suddenly realise you know more than them on this, they know more than you on that, and that's what drives the community, because you gel together and collaborate as one in it, and that's where the equilibrium in that comes, I think.
Yeah, exactly. And actually, it's kind of funny because I'm going to be doing a talk on imposter syndrome at a local code conference here. And it was funny because I was like, God, I don't feel qualified to have a talk on imposter syndrome. And I'm like, that makes me exactly qualified to have a talk on imposter syndrome. So, yeah, I'm super excited about that as well.
We might have a chat about switching your session for Scotland then.
Okay. Yeah, I think people would probably be more interested in that than, I don't know, email free marker. I can't even remember what I wrote, Mark. I'm not going to lie.
It's definitely one that I think everybody can relate to in one way or another. There's not one person that you speak to who suddenly goes, I've never had that. They suddenly go, oh, is that what it's called? Or, yeah, I had the same, or I felt this way. And I don't think it matters what level you're at. I think everybody has, to some extent, that.
Yeah, I think everyone always has it.
Mm.
I mean, unless you're an absolute cocky something or another, then everyone has it. Even cocky people, I think, have it. It's just a bravado in front. I get it all the time. I'm like, I don't know what I'm doing here. I'm going to get found out. I'm going to get sacked. They hate me. Blah blah blah. But yeah, that's exactly what it is. And I don't think there's any level of knowledge takes that away. So if you learn the things that you think you weren't good at, or that you are kind of pretending to be good at, or think you're pretending to be good at anyway, if you learn that, you still then have imposter syndrome about taking the next step. Oh, I'll never be able to do that. I'm not this, I'm not that. It's a vicious one.
I think there also has to be an element of, you have to have imposter syndrome, because why else would you push yourself? It's about embracing it. It's about using it to actually boost yourself going forward. Like, if I felt that I had everything I'd done was the best it could be, I had nothing else to learn, nobody could show me anything, then what's the point?
Yeah, exactly. And that's going to be a huge part of what I'm going to talk about is, everybody has imposter syndrome, but how can you use that to better yourself instead of just wallowing in like, oh my God, I don't know anything, which you could either go either way. And it's kind of the same for most things like that. But I do think imposter syndrome can be used for good, and absolutely it impacts everyone. I don't think I've ever met anyone who said, nope, I know everything. I'm pretty comfortable in my job. Like there's always going to be something that you're going to learn, something new. Yeah.
No, that is quite cool. John, do you know where and when you're talking about that, so you can give it a wee shout out?
Yeah, I haven't even written anything yet. I've just been like, oh, this sounds like a great idea. I'll do it. It's going to be at the Carolina Code Conference on, I want to say, July 27th. I think if that's a Saturday, then it's July 27th. But it's up here in Greenville, South Carolina, and it is free to attend for all coders.
Okay. We will find a link and put that in. Saturday 27th does look about right. So that is a Saturday. So yeah, we will put a link in that as well so people can find it.
So no awesome. Imposter syndrome when you go into pre-sales then? You know everything about what you need to do, obviously.
Oh my God, I had major imposter syndrome. So I remember when Matt Winnowen called me, and pre-sales has been a career goal of mine because I really enjoy problem solving and being like trying to make things work for somebody. If you have a problem, I want to be able to fix it. So when he called me, I remember I was in Cork, Ireland, and I was just wrapping up my last week, and he called me and he's like, hey, I really want you to join my team. And I'm not gonna lie, I might have had a bit of a tear afterwards, just being really excited.
It's a good thing.
And then I immediately got the, oh no, am I good enough? I don't know anything about security. I don't know anything about how they work. I don't know the Dynamics platform in its entirety. Am I going to be able to do this? And so to combat that, I then just went to the current pre-sales engineer And I talked to him and I was like, hey, what do you do every day? I'm super concerned. I don't know XYZ. And he was like, Emma, that's like 10% of the job. 90% is what you already know about ClickDimensions and community and just doing partner trainings. I'm like, oh yeah, I can do those. It's just 10% that was really holding me back from taking the job. So doing more research was definitely helpful for me.
That's cool. So is that with the move to pre-sales then, I presume that more of that area you're going to be focused on is around the new UI, which is to come out, or is out, but is going to be forcing everybody soon?
Some of it will be for sure, but to be honest, most of our customers are still on 8.2 or 2011, as some of our customers are. I do have one customer, I think, still on 2000 or CRM 4.
Really? So you've got a lot of on-prem people then as well. It's not just the cloud element.
Yeah.
Everybody in the cloud's obviously
Yep.
9, but you must have on-prem something rotten then.
Mm-hmm. We do. We have like a wide range of customers on various different levels of platform. And we do still technically support 2011 to a point. Of course, Microsoft doesn't support it anymore, but it's important that all of our customers are able to use our tool regardless of what platform they're working. So we do our best to support everybody.
Yeah, that's cool. How does it work
Mhm.
then? If you're going to do a new UI, you're going to still have to support the old
Yep.
UI or the...
Yep.
Wow.
We do both. So the way it works is we have solution files for both interfaces. So if you are on, I think it's 9.1 and above, we don't have UI for 9.0 because some of the functionality that was in 9.0 wasn't compatible with ClickDimensions, such as marketing lists, for example. I don't think marketing lists were available in the new UI. I could be wrong on that, but I do know there was some functionality that wouldn't allow the ClickDimensions app to work correctly in UI. So if you're on 9.1 and above, you can request the solution for a unified interface if that's what you want. But if you still want to work in Classic, we'll just give you the old school solution as
Cool.
well. So we do both.
That's quite cool. So what we wanted to really talk about today was a new UI and sort of what's been going on with it. Because I think you also, did you post a blog about it?
Yep. I did, yeah. So I've just started working unified interface, and the thing that I got really excited about was some of the new custom controls that are available. So I'm a huge fan of the calendar control, which I think is super badass. With ClickDimensions, the new unified interface is now kind of segregated out different parts of your digital marketing. So if you're just working in like messaging, such as emails and text messages, that's now in one section by itself with all of the components to complete that particular task. And we also have web analytics and web content as a next section on the navigation. So if you're just working at building web forms, yeah, it's cool. So for example, Iain, like we were chatting before, if you're just building web forms, you don't have to navigate through the mess of like email marketing or marketing lists or anything like
So you
that.
went for the
It'll
much more
just be
modular
building.
approach in the same way that the whole Power Apps is at the moment. Everything's its own sort of app and section, etc. That's really cool.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, spot on. So one of the things I'm working on at the moment is now a customization for the event side of things, which I know Mark has been playing around with. And I want to create the calendar customer control on probably like the active events and the past events. So you'll be able to see these are the events that ran, here's how long they ran for, code them depending on what kind of events they are. So that kind of customization I'm currently
Yeah, it's
working
going to be
on.
really cool for us when we do the Scottish Summit stuff and pull everything through and see our dates, bits and pieces there. Hopefully, that's where we're playing a lot. I think Mark, as you say, has definitely done much more with it.
Yeah, I've actually, the calendar control is something we've just put in on one of our customers like 2 or 3 days ago. They do
Oh yeah.
marketing activities where they have internal and external events that they attend. And they didn't just want a list of events, they wanted a calendar that they could flick through month by month, different colour if it's
Yep.
internal or external. And it's like, that's actually really nice. The custom controls are awesome nowadays.
So I'm going to plead a little bit ignorance in that, just for my sanity. And I'm assuming then it looks like, so I know the resource scheduling, etc. I'm assuming it looks like that, where you can see the calendar, you can scroll across it, and as you say, you've got different events tagged different colours in the
Maybe
most simplistic form.
if you actually think of the old, remember the service calendar?
Mm-hmm.
So the service calendar, how it's a bit more basic than the URS schedule board. But yeah, it's a calendar frame, and
Well, that's it. It's just a view of it, isn't it? So it's a
yeah,
view. You've got
that's
your
all it
days
is.
work, days, weeks, hours, times, that type of thing, and you can see what's happening.
Yeah, it's pretty much an Outlook calendar, and each task or activity type is there. It is quite cool, and
That's awesome.
it is. I honestly, there's that many I didn't even realize it existed. It was one of the people that's in my team was like, have you tried doing this? Like, never even knew it existed. And you know me, when somebody shows me something I don't know, then that's like, I love it.
Yeah, I actually picked up that little tidbit from Sarah Lagerquist. I can never say her name. I'm so sorry,
changes
Sarah.
every day, don't worry.
Sora. And she actually did a talk at D365 Saturday Amsterdam on low-code solutions for event management, which was super, super interesting. And she used the calendar control, and that's kind of how I got the idea to implement it with ClickDimensions.
Yeah, there's loads of different controls and PCF controls. The PCF stuff's going to be really, really good. I've been really messing around with them. Drag and drop files into blob storage. This one's probably not. It's good for what it does. It doesn't have any practical uses, but displaying the credit cards and stuff, there's no way you can use it because it won't pass any sort of data security. But just the things that you can and can't do with that is like really, really good. So I think that custom controls are almost going to become the new IP. People aren't going to build little solutions here and there. They're going to build frameworks that they'll then do subscription models to. I think. I might be wrong, but I think that's where it's going.
Yeah, and I kind of see, like, having worked with ClickDimensions in the old interface for many years, there's so many things that can be solved by switching to the new unified interface. God, it's so hard to say. And just by implementing some of those custom controls and some of like the things you can do with the fields, like the really cool sliders and stuff, I think it's going to make people's lives a lot easier. One of the things we definitely get asked about a lot is kind of dashboards and more visual reporting. So I do think unified interface will address that to an extent, but also I'm not sure. I'm pretty sure you guys already know about the acquisition ClickDimensions made for SweetSpot as well, the marketing dashboard company. Yes, that's also going to be a huge part of us being able to deliver on dashboards and visual reports and things like that too. So
yeah, I was quite surprised with that one, if I'm honest. I thought you'd maybe go down the Power BI route and frame Power BI stuff, but rather than bringing something else in. But I suppose if there's suites that are already built, then it's easy to reuse that functionality.
That's the thing. And my understanding is that we wanted to basically acquire a market leader instead of building something ourselves just to compete with that. So, and also we want to focus our development team on providing more innovation for the platform. So rather than dividing up the development team to create something for Power BI, we just acquired a platform that will do that. But the platform SweetSpot will also allow you to push your data to Power BI as well from multiple different points. So if you're working with Salesforce, for example, you can still push that into SweetSpot, and SweetSpot will push that out to Power BI as well. So there's multiple different things that tool can do rather than us just going, oh, we'll just build something for Power BI. It just made more sense.
So while we're talking about dev team and doing dev stuff, here's where my request comes in. So
oh no,
it's not a request. It's actually something I've built out on my instance, just playing around with it. So you've got events, you've got event participants, and we can connect in with Eventbrite. So anytime somebody orders a ticket, we can pull that information in. What about if you're running events, being able to pull speakers in and having
that would be pretty cool. I'm sure there's some kind of customization you could probably do.
Oh yeah, there is customization, and I've done it, but I think that could be quite cool in the product.
Yeah, because they're not an attendee. It's not just it's been able to tag it differently, isn't it?
Yeah. So and in terms of marketing to them, you've run 25 different events, and you want to email them out to say, "I'm running another event. Do you want to speak at it?"
Mm-hmm. So, Iain, what was that phrase you told me to say when Mark was going to bring this up earlier?
You're not product team, you're pre-sales, but you'll take the feedback on and push it back to them, and they may look to deploy it to the roadmap.
That's what he said. No, all joking aside, I do really like that idea for sure. I think that where product is primarily based on marketing, so it's really hard to build a product platform that's like one size fits all. But I do really, really like that idea.
Yeah, of course, I came up with it, so yeah, of course, everyone likes it. I'm messing, don't worry. So
I do want to hear about your solution though at some point, because that is pretty cool.
I'll send you some screenshots later on.
It's one of the things that from that obviously something could grow and it could become something totally different, but just make sure you change it enough that he doesn't then try and claim IP on it, obviously.
Would I do that? What else are you is your dev team creating some of their own custom controls?
I honestly am not too privy to that information. They tend to hold their cards pretty close to their chest. My understanding is that right now there is a lot of development work going into UI, into integrating Sweet Spot, because we haven't completed that integration just yet. And also platform stability continues to be a key focus of the developers as well.
Yeah, because I actually forget, it's not just the CRM solutions. Everything goes up to the cloud, doesn't it? So
Yeah.
that needs to be
Yes.
good.
Yep. Exactly. Like our campaign automation has undergone some major architectural changes to make it more stable. So that's, again, completely entirely run on our cloud side. None of the processing is done on the client side at all. So that is something that we have to make sure it's a huge part of our tool, and it's a super cool tool if it's able to be stable enough when we want to put a lot of our resources into ensuring that it's the best that it can be, because it is like super complex. Like, it means you don't have to write workflows or anything like that. It's kind of similar, in my opinion. It's kind of like ClickDimensions Power Apps kind of thing. So you don't have to write your workflows or write any code. You can use the campaign automation tool to automate all of your marketing instead.
So just talking about the campaign automation, is
Yeah.
the new campaign automation builder, is that new as well? It's not new as in new to the product, but it looks totally different.
I don't think it's changed a whole lot. Is it? In what way do you think it's changed, or what? Maybe I'm missing something.
It just looks a lot different. It's either that, or because I've been switching between that and other marketing products, I just forget what it looks like. But no, it does look a little bit different. But do you know what? It's so much easier to use than any other marketing product that's out there.
Oh yeah, I agree. Like, I look at it and I compare it to some other marketing products out there, and just the drag and drop capabilities, just dragging your arrow where it wants to go, creating logical decision nodes is super easy. I really like it, and I think the colors are really easy to understand. Like, green is positive, red is negative, and unfortunately, if you're colorblind, you just have to know the top is positive, bottom is negative. That is something that I've heard in feedback before that I do think they're going to implement in the future. But yeah, I've seen some people do some crazy things. I've even seen people use it as like art canvases almost, and create like Death Star looking kind of automations that obviously don't work, but they look really cool.
That's pre-sale smoke and mirrors, though, isn't it?
Yep.
I mean, I'm not building the Death Star. These are customers that come to us having built these massive automations that look amazing, but they're like, we don't understand why it doesn't work.
I mean, prime thing there, isn't it? The Death Star, they've built that in obviously real life in the movies, and an air vent let it down, right? That was its weak point. So it doesn't matter how big and pretty it looks, there's always going to be that weak point. And for me personally, with ClickD or ClickDimensions, I've used it for web form, creating leads, creating that sort of stuff. I've not used it for the full capacity that it can do. We've sent for GDPR element here, we sent out something like 300,000 emails. Obviously, ClickD handled all of that for us as well, and it was awesome. We got our bounce backs. We found out what emails were invalid. There was all the whitelisted, blacklisted stuff that you guys, as you say, it's all in the cloud. We just send it and get a report a couple hours later.
Exactly. And that's one of the things I actually do talk about a lot at UG, is like GDPR and how ClickDimensions can help, and what all GDPR is, and what kind of problems it's caused. Super interesting stuff. People really are so engaged when I talk about data protection policies. They really love that stuff.
It's a bizarre one, isn't it? Because I think if you spoke about data protection 4 years ago, people would have been like, yeah, I don't know anything about it. Don't know anything about it. But now, I was at a UG the other day, the guy, and one of the questions about GDPR and consent, because somebody was using an image of a member of staff from Skype and SharePoint so that you could see who the new starters were in a list. It was like, are you allowed to do that? Do you have consent to do that? Is it because I remember? And you're like, I would never even have thought of that. And still, even at that point, I was like, but they're a member of staff. It's different, because GDPR, is it marketing? Is it not? Is it just consent using data? And then you're like, right, I'm leaving this room. I don't even know what's going on anymore.
I think the juicy part about talking about GDPR is the fines, like, well, who's been fined, why have they been fined, how much have they been fined? That's the stuff, like, people are asleep all the way through me talking about the regulations. And I'm like, right, the fines. They're like, oh yes, give me this data. It's like juicy gossip for them.
It's a percentage of turnover, though, isn't it?
It can be, depending. It depends on which is larger. I think it's like 3% of gross profit or something like that, or up to, I don't remember the figures. I don't have my presentation notes in front of me, but they're huge. They're really, really big numbers. And it all just depends on what the issue is, what the breach is, how did you address the breach. So one of the examples I always give is there's a German social media company that had a data breach issue, but they were only fined, I think, don't want to be quoted here, but I think it was only like 3,000-4,000 euros. It was quite a small amount. And people were like, why? And it was because they immediately went to the data protection regulator and was like, hey, this has happened. And they were very proactive at working with them. So it's not about the amount, it's more about how do you react to particular breaches and what you do to rectify the
It's all the
situation.
interpretation of it as well, isn't it? As you say, exactly there.
Oh,
It's the
yeah.
hands up. I've done this, right, wrap my hands, but then that's interpreted a certain way because they're guidelines more than they are rules, I think, to some extent,
Mhm.
almost like to simplify it a little bit. And that's where, as you say, it can be a max 3% or whatever it is, based on a percentage
Exactly.
of your gross turnover before profit as well. So it's not even like it's
Mhm.
not even in your profit part. It's just everything, and depends
Yeah.
who you are, how
And I
bad the
mean,
breach is, and what the actual fallout from the breach has been as well.
and I'm happy it's come into place because people need to have more control over their data, what's available out there on the internet, and what people actually do with their data. So I'm super happy to see that this has come in. I think people tend to get a little bit anxious and nervous, but to be honest, it's technically always been there under the EU regulator. It just has actual teeth now
Yeah.
and can do things. So, I mean, at the end of the day, just don't be a jerk. Tell people what you're doing with their data and you'll be fine.
I was going to say there's actually, believe it or not, still companies that do not have GDPR policies. I've been working with a couple in previous places and just ad hoc speaking to people who are like, we don't have a policy. Does CRM, can we not just tick a box and CRM becomes our GDPR policy? It's like, no. CRM
Oh,
is
wow.
a mechanism to implement your policy. It is not a policy. It's just, you can think, wow.
Exactly.
But your policy is your policy, isn't it?
Yeah.
You have guidelines about what your policy should be, but it's how you declare it and what you say. This is what we will do. So it's a
Hmm.
weird one in that in itself, isn't it? Yeah, exactly. This is a retention policy. This is what we'll do with your data policy. This is
Yeah.
our privacy policy. So most people do have it in one form or another, but they've just never collated it together. Because
Yeah.
as you say, Emma, since what 1998 Data Protection Act, GDPR has always been there to some extent. It's just meatier now than
Hmm.
it was previously.
Yep, exactly. And I mean, as long as you are using permissions from a marketing perspective, using permissions-based marketing, you should be completely fine. And as a company, we've always implored permissions-based marketing. It's actually against our terms and conditions for you to use purchase lists or to send emails without actually getting permission first. Things like that have always been against our terms and conditions.
Mm.
That's cool. I never realised that you had that in the T's
Yep.
and C's of the product itself. That is cool.
People still try, and then I give them over to our head of deliverability, and she tears them a new one and basically tells them, don't do this again. I think there's like a 3 strikes policy. If you do it 3 times, we'll fire you as a customer. But yeah, I mean, it's important because it impacts our sender reputation.
Yeah.
We have always been permissions based, and so if you're going to mess that up, you're going to mess up our sender reputation and then impact all of our customers. So we're protecting our customers and protecting our business by doing permissions
Yeah,
based.
the penny just dropped for me in that one as well. It's exactly that blacklisted, whitelist that you guys have, that you
Yep.
know what email address you can send to or what's valid or what's not a valid email. It's all in there, isn't it? It would actually
Yep.
impact that if
Yep.
we were to start sending absolute spam out all the time.
And so we'll also, there's different things like hard bounces and soft bounces. And
Mm.
if you have a hard bounce, we will absolutely not send to that email address again.
Yeah, that's one of the things I love about it. I could send an email
Mhm.
through what I have as an email address. It gets a hard bounce, and then you just
Yeah,
completely block it. You just, as soon as anybody else uses it, it was hard bounce. We're not going to even bother sending to it again. Almost.
exactly. Yep, we do all that for you.
Yeah.
I've got a couple of questions. Let's just throw some ClickD questions out there to you. Just,
Great. Imposter syndrome is like at its hype right now.
I think I've probably asked you this question about 10 times anyway. What's the difference between an
Sure.
email sends and a sent email?
Yeah. Okay, yeah, I get asked this question all the time, and it's a really good question. And I think they've actually changed the wording of this in the new unified interface. So, an email send is basically kind of like your umbrella. It contains your marketing list, your email template, the date and time you're sending your email, if it's going to be a split test, all that kind of data is on the email send record. So, it houses all that information. Whereas a sent email is the individual email a person gets. So if I send out an email send, it will likely send out maybe 400 sent emails. So that's the record of the individual email that
So
somebody
it's
will
like the
receive.
header and the lines. So the email sends is the
Yeah,
header.
pretty much.
So looking at the new interface, it's email sends and sent emails is what we're going with.
Yeah, so email sends is your parameters. This email is going to get sent. It's going to contain this sort of information. It's going to get sent on this date, that time. And then the sent emails are actually what you get delivered to your inbox.
Exactly. They're the individual records that we can tie back to the contact or lead that you sent the email to. So you can then see this person got this email and this was the email send that it came from. Yep, it's all about
the
relationships.
handshake, yeah.
Or they can, or the customer
Yes.
can just totally deny that they ever received emails, but though you can trace it back. So that was one thing I was really impressed with, was the level of detail that you can go into on an individual sent email.
Oh yeah, so I think I did that for you before going into the XML, the actual record that we send to our message transfer agent, being able to pull, okay, this is the delivered, this is what we got back from the email server showing it was delivered, the time, everything. Yeah, we get a whole bunch of data.
Yeah, so it all gets recorded, isn't it? Because that email, the exchange server that receives the email will actually pass back to you and say, I've received the email, I know the email address, I've filed the email address, I've delivered the email address, and it's up to you potentially what you record, I think. I don't know Exchange too much, but I know there's certain definitely parts.
We actually take whatever message we get back from the server, we actually log that under email events. So if it's a bounce, we'll give you the exact messaging that we got from the server as to why they refused the message.
So you should be able to see everything there as well, as you say, from the whole part where the initial handshake, where you set up the campaign to release X amount of emails, to the fact that email send, to the sent emails, to the email event where you see the messages back and forth. It's the full life cycle of that email from the initial thought of creation to the actual handover and delivery.
Yep, exactly. So you'll get your email events, which will tell you when it was delivered, the exact time it was delivered, the exact time it was opened, if they clicked on any links, the exact time of the link click. All of that data is stored in Dynamics.
That's at the level.
My wee mind just popped.
Yeah, honestly, I was just so amazed at the level it could go into. Right, so I'll give you.
It's awesome because that's the stuff you normally have to go to the exchange team or especially when you hand it over to the third party. So if I send an email from my domain to another person's domain, all I normally know, certainly like in CRM, if you think about it at the moment, you get draft, pending sent, received, and cancelled. All you know at that point that it's been handed over to Exchange from CRM, right? And server-side sync.
Yep.
You know fine well that you've built the XML, you've given XML to Exchange, and then you lose sight of it. Whereas with ClickD, it's totally different. You're going to do all that stuff, hand over to ClickD's servers who are going to log every eventuality that happens in the journey of that email, and you'll know all about it in CRM or whatever tool you want to use. That's sweet.
It is quite creepy, though. There's a level of creepy. I mean, Emma was able to tell me when it bounced, what the IP of the server was, who looked at the server, when the server was spun up, what colour the floppy disk drive on the server was. There was that much information she brought back. I was like, oh.
And that's what's awesome about that right there, is because in that eventuality, if you hadn't used ClickD to deliver it, all the information that Emma was able to glean from the other server, you'd have had to go to the other party's IT team, whoever manages their Exchange server, to get them to run a log on their Exchange server to pull that information if it's stored. But that's never going to happen because that's you asking a third party to speak to their third party to deal with something else. You're just never going to get a successful outcome on that. You're never going to get an RCA. You're never going to get your root cause analysis. You're never going to find it. Whereas ClickD, because it's the all-encompassing marketing suite that does all that for you, and email campaigns because it does it for you, it's logged. That in itself is valuable. Sorry, I've just moved into ClickD pre-sales apparently, haven't I?
Hey, come join the team. We're pretty awesome.
Hopefully everyone over in Cork now will be able to go down to that level as well that Emma can do. So,
well, dude, I trained them, so obviously.
Awesome.
Oh, that fighting talk right there. People in Cork are like, geez, I've now got imposter syndrome.
Cheers, Emma. Thanks for that.
Like, cheers. Dropped us right in
it. Well, come to my talk and you can cure it.
Why don't you come to our talk or our summit and you can do a talk?
I am. I'm going to.
Yeah,
I'll
I know.
probably end up
if she
doing
turns up this year.
That's
Mark, don't
exactly
give me
what I
that
was.
crap again.
That's what I was meaning. I'm like, it doesn't matter. You put your name down, right? This isn't like a nightclub where your name's on the list and you just don't get to turn up, and that's cool. If your name's on the list, you need to come down. You need to come in.
Well, I'm sorry that my house had to close on that specific date and I couldn't miss it. Otherwise, I would not have a house to live in. So I do sincerely apologize from the bottom of my heart. I'll bring the goods
Yeah,
next
so
time.
for the next 8 months, you're not allowed to buy or sell any houses.
I think I can do that.
We're happy with that one.
You heard it here first, right?
Emma is not buying any houses.
7 months' time, 2 weeks, Emma's like, guys, I'm moving.
You never know with me, to be honest. You really don't.
Pre-sales was so good. I've travelled the world and I've decided that I want to live in Kuala Lumpur. We're setting up a new office.
Honestly, I'd actually love to live in the Netherlands. It's the best place ever. It's just so good.
It is.
I've never been.
No, it's quite nice.
It really is so nice. We had so much fun that week. It was brilliant.
Does Matt live in Holland? Yeah, or the Netherlands?
He does. He lives in The Hague in the Netherlands. He does, yeah. So my boss previously was in Atlanta, and I saw him maybe once a quarter. And now my boss lives in an entirely different continent. So, which is great. It's really good. It means I get 3 a.m. emails now. Setting up meetings. I'm like, great.
I think that's the joy in what we work in the area we work in, that we can work autonomously and remote. And there's no need for the
Exactly.
office element and everything there. And if that's one thing that proves that, is the fact that your direct boss is in a total different time
Yep.
zone from you, but still you can work.
Oh yeah, and I mean the opportunity to work under a 13-time MVP is just, it blows my mind. I was just overwhelmed and super excited, and I just feel so lucky to get to do this job. It's the absolute best.
Matt is awesome. So take anything you can from him under his learning tree.
Oh yeah, I will. He has no idea what he signed up for. He really doesn't.
He's probably saying the same in another podcast about you right now.
He was like, I had no other options. She was the only one that'd be crazy enough to do it. I'll take it.
She was my 5th choice. I didn't want to go there. It's full of that imposter syndrome. Nah, that's
I know.
absolute crap. It's something where you've obviously worked here, you've shown the drive to do it, and there's the reason why we know you as well, like that whole community element and everything else that you do. It's awesome.
Thanks very much. I try really hard, and I absolutely love what I do. I think it's great that I finally found something that I'm really passionate about, and I feel like, the way they say, if you find something you love doing, you never work a day in your life. I 100% feel that way 90% of the time.
Yeah, there has to be that caveat, isn't there? Where sometimes
Yeah,
you just
absolutely.
go, I'm going to stack shelves in Asda. I can't deal with this anymore.
Yeah, when you work in support particularly, it definitely can go that way. But most of the time, people are usually fairly reasonable.
Pre-sales is definitely, because it's all about latest stuff that's coming out. What are we going to do? How can we innovate? So yeah, pre-sales will be awesome. I think you'll be great at it.
Yeah, and a huge part of what I'm being brought on board to do as well is to try and figure out how we can expand the ClickDimensions product with the Power Platform, for example, and get more functionality out of the actual ClickDimensions product itself. So I'm really excited to get to do that too.
Excited to see what's actually going to come from all of that. Like, there's so much opportunity, so many different avenues it can go down, and
Yep. There really is. And there's some things that I've seen customers really struggle with in the past, like wanting to pull certain data from certain entities. And now, having worked with Matt Whitteman, he's kind of given some training on how to use Flow to do that. And so thinking of how we can use other parts of the Microsoft platform to expand the use of ClickDimensions is super exciting for me.
Yeah,
it's a game changer.
There's so much there. So Power Apps, Flow, Logic Apps. It's going to be cool. I mean, I'm just thinking, how can I get a Power App with ClickDimensions data in it? What could it look like? How easy is it for somebody to use? Approval process, it just comes through to Power App. They say, right, I'm happy with that. Yep, marketing manager approves it. It can be sent out. Just basic things.
That is actually one of the things I'm working on. I just built out an approval process using workflows. No, it's going to be really cool. I just did it all using workflows because and business process rules, and it all made sense then. But now I'm thinking, my God, if I just had an app that the manager could just say, that looks good, send it off, that would be so much easier. And I really don't think it's going to be that difficult. I say that now, and 5 months later, we're like, God damn this thing.
You'd be like 4 a.m, half bald because you've been ripping your hair out, full of caffeine, looking at it going, why did I even decide this was going to be something I'd look at? But that's exactly
because
why
Mark
we do
said
this.
it was a good idea.
He does it to me all the time. Like, I was on the forum the other week, we were talking about something, and then I started getting distracted, and he's like, you're building it out, aren't you? And I'm like, yeah, I'm trying to, because I just believe it should be easier than how it's been done before.
Mm-hmm.
Find myself 4 hours later still sitting there, slightly bleary eyed because I've been staring at the computer and it's 2 a.m. Like, what have I done?
Oh,
God.
Emma, you could use virtual assist. Or virtual
I don't know what that is.
agent. There's that many virtual
The
things.
virtual agent.
So, the virtual agent, I would like to unsubscribe from a marketing list. What marketing list name? What is your email address? Boom. They can do that through a company's website.
So the virtual assist is Microsoft's bot tech that they're bringing, and it can integrate all across. It can trigger flows and things like that as well. Go and retrieve information from the CDS, push it back, update things, etc., back and forth, and it's all a bot.
That's definitely worth thinking about.
Use the
I like
virtual agent, hand it off to CDS, use Flow to update the records, and you're laughing. I want to subscribe, I want to unsubscribe. That's quite, tell me what I've got subscriptions for. That's quite cool. There you go.
Oh,
there could be potential there. I think it would need some integration with our product team because a lot of the unsubscribe process is handled in our cloud because of GDPR. We don't want agents just to be able to subscribe and unsubscribe people from lists left, right, and center. It has to be the individual person. But I do think there's potential there for something now that I think about it.
I've not looked, but is there a ClickDimensions Flow connector?
There is not. I mean, because we're integrated into Dynamics, we're a solution in Dynamics. It's pretty much available in the CDS anyway, as far as I know.
Yeah, it sits quite native almost, doesn't it?
Exactly. Yeah, it is. So there's no need for a connector.
Boo. There's always a need for something.
Why is that boo? That's almost better. Does that not make it easier?
It is, because they are all tables.
It does make it easier because you don't need to then call the connector for the flow. You can just connect straight to the data.
Yeah,
within
we can definitely do that with Flow. We've been sending emails using Flow as well, ClickDimensions emails.
Oh, my wee brain's running 1,000,000 miles an hour now.
I'm going to write the blog post on it with Matt's help once I understand the basics of it, and then I can send that on to you, and you'll be able to send all your ClickDimensions emails.
If you want to do any proof of concept stuff or just talk through it, I'm more than welcome to be ears because I love to learn this and click to use something, as I say. I'm not 100% a fay with it, so yeah, if you want to talk through how the product works, I'm sweet with that.
Yeah, of course. Once I get my basics down and figuring it out, for sure, I'd be happy to do that.
So you've mentioned a couple of times that you have a blog. Now, that's just something you've started up quite recently.
Yes. Good old tattooedcrmgirl.com. All thanks to Mark Huntingford himself.
Chris Huntingford, even.
Mark Huntingford. Jesus Christ on a bike. Chris Huntingford. Oh my God.
Just say it again. We'll edit it out. Don't worry.
Chris Huntingford. And I met him at the Dublin Summit 2 years ago, and I was introduced to him as a tattooed CRM guy, and he looked at me and he was like, "You're a tattooed CRM girl." And I'm like, "Oh, fuck, I am now, I suppose."
You're screwed. That is your new title.
I remember the whole the Twitter, and it was a bit tit for tat, but on Twitter, the whole you need to change your name, you need to change your name, you need to change your name, and then then you finally done it, and everybody was like, "Yay!"
I actually just spent 2 weekends ago with him, and there's like pictures of us like comparing our tattoos and stuff. That dude is huge. Oh my God, he's so big. I can't even get over it. I'm so short, so it just looks ridiculous.
Oh, height-wise, right? Okay.
Yes, like he's like really freaking tall. What is he, like 6'4" or something? He's just, and I mean, he has the big personality to boot, so it's just like the room is just taken over.
Which actually reminds me, you got a tattoo in Amsterdam last month or 2 months ago, didn't you?
I did indeed, of a little bike on a canal. Yeah, I did indeed.
So I
actually
sent you some ideas for Scotland as well, but you just totally ignored them.
I'm not getting a thistle. I might get a unicorn, actually. That would be cool.
What about Nessie?
Why so adamant not a thistle?
Because I just don't like thistles.
So,
Fair enough.
What's
Like, there's actually
just
no
don't.
counter argument to that. That's just the way it is.
what about Nessie?
Maybe I like that one. Maybe.
See, that's funnier.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's like the bike in a canal thing. It's not like Amsterdam where, I mean, you could have just got a big certain leaf and stuff like that for Amsterdam, but it's not really quite as cute. Whereas Nessie, like, you ever seen the cartoon Family Ness?
Yeah.
You could totally get one of the wee guys.
I think that would be cute. I'm actually going to get tattooed when I'm in Summit in Orlando, and my plan is to get an alligator on a roller coaster holding an orange, wearing Mickey Mouse ears. Because
As long as you've got the orange on it, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. That's like Florida, like in one image. So
unless you do the
my
Simpsons version of Florida. Remember Lisa went out dressed as Florida for Halloween?
Oh my god, yeah, and that's also very accurate too. So
I mean, you're almost just getting like a Florida Gators tattoo, really, aren't you?
Oh no, God, no. He'll have Mickey Mouse ears. It'll be really cute.
I think that's actually awesome. I really like that.
Yeah, I'm just imagining, because it's neo-traditional stuff you like, isn't it?
Yeah, like a lot of cartoony coloured stuff, like bright colours are definitely my jam.
So I'm just thinking of a big circle with Nessie and the water with a tartan hat on. There you go.
Oh, that would be very cute. I like that idea a lot.
Yeah, we'll sort that out. We'll find some tattoo artists for you while you're over.
Yeah, I don't trust you. I think I'll find my own.
I can send you a couple.
There's nothing wrong.
Really good.
Yeah, no, actually, that would be really helpful.
That would maybe even like, I think, yeah.
Okay.
Hunt the boat. What?
Yeah. Huh?
What is wrong with my tattoos?
Your tattoos are great.
That's all right then.
I just like very, very bright colours.
Yeah, we'll find. We're going to send you down some ditch in Glasgow now.
Exactly why I didn't want your recommendations in the first place. I have a feeling this is going to happen. I'll come back with like a Union Jack on me or something and be like, here lads, this wasn't the plan.
Here's a picture of Theresa May.
I actually might get the I Love Dynamics sticker tattooed. I think that would be great.
The I Love D.
Yeah, I think it'd be really appropriate.
It is a decent one. I think we have got more stickers in there as well.
Oh, brilliant! Because my ones were on my old laptop that died that day in Summit, so I need.
Right, so I'll tell you what. I'll make you a deal. If you send me over a hockey puck, I'll send you over loads more stickers.
Okay, grand. That's the deal. It's on my mind every time I go downtown. I'm like, I have to go in there now, and I will.
That's fine. Yeah.
Yeah, some good colours.
He's done one of the things he'd done as a tattoo became an Andrew WK poster.
No way.
For his tour.
That's amazing.
Party hard. So I think that should be your thing then, Emma. Every place you go to speak, you should get a tattoo.
Yeah, that is my plan.
Okay.
That has been my plan for a while, yeah.
Right, we're going to send you to Nigeria, to Lagos to speak. See what cool thing you can make out of that then.
I don't know. Like,
what would you
actually not going to go down this road. I'm not going to go down this road. I'm going to stop right now.
You would get an email with somebody, my Uncle Steve. That's what you would get.
Yeah, that sounds like a good idea.
That could be interesting. That's all we're going to say.
Let's wrap it up. You've given us your blog, tattooedcrmgirl.com. Where else can people find you?
I'm also on Twitter at tattooedcrmgirl.com and probably on LinkedIn as well. I think everyone is just at Emma D'Arcy.
Awesome. What about ClickDimensions? What's their social media stuff?
Yeah. So it's at ClickDimensions on Twitter. We're also ClickDimensions.com, of course, as well. And I think they do some Facebook things as well. There's some pretty sweet Facebook memes on there too.
And I think they also have an Instagram as well.
Do they? I'm on the Instagram. Yeah, if you want to see what I look like, I'm on the Instagram as well at ClickDimensions. I think my face is on there.
I'm on the Instagram. That is the most Irish thing I've ever heard.
I'm sorry.
I'm on the Instagram. That's like my granny saying, I'm on the Facebook now.
I can't help it, okay? It's part of my culture. Why are you making fun of me? I don't agree with this.
On that, Emma, we will say thank you very much for coming on and joining us today.
It's been the absolute crack. Thanks a million, guys.
Cheers.
See ya.
Thanks for listening. Remember to subscribe to the podcast with your favourite app and check out crm.audio for information on all the other shows on the network.